Welcome back to another episode of the Takedown, a Jackrabbit Illustrated podcast where we focus on South Dakota State wrestling. Once again, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jordan and Alex. Jordan and Alex, how you guys doing tonight? It's good to see you. Good to have you on.
Doing well, Chad. Jordan, how's life down in Texas there?
It's interesting. Had to drive all day to get down here. We just pulled in.
So you're not too far from our special guest, Cody. You're coming to us live from Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, Tulsa. We're here. We got in this morning, so we drove through the night. Had a bus, which hey, we talk about dealing with some adversity and doing hard things. And hey, to be honest with you, our trip started in that manner. So we showed up. We were going to depart at 11 p.m., just jump on the bus and sleep. I mean, our guys have done it every year, so it's nothing new to them. But we get there and we're waiting at the Frank, the wrestling facility, and the bus pulls up. And it wasn't the bus that we had signed a contract with. It was actually one of these double-decker buses, which is sweet, right? But it doesn't have the beds. It doesn't like transform into bunk beds like we're used to. And so it's like more of like a lounge, just normal seating type of bus. And so a little bit of adversity. It wasn't what we expected, but we made do. So they had some space up top of the second floor, and guys had these like blow up mattresses and things like that. So we made the best of it, and a little hiccup like that is not going to steer us away from the goal this weekend. So we got in at about 11 o'clock and went over to Sand Springs High School here right outside of Tulsa and got our workout in. Got guys in a good place as far as their weight, kind of got the trip out of them, and checked into the hotel. And we've had some food and just kind of getting acquainted to Tulsa. It's something that we're pretty familiar with at this point, having the Big 12's here every year, and national tournament being here last year as well. So we are in Tulsa, and the Jackrabbits are excited.
Well, if there's anything that's more uncomfortable than a seat in a plane, it's a bus seat. So, been on long bus rides, and they get pretty uncomfortable
for sure. And that's kind of the thing is like we do like, hey, we could fly commercial, but to get to Tulsa, there's no easy way, right? And so we're flying from Sioux Falls to a connection, waiting to get connected, and then you're running the risk of delays and things like that. Whereas we've been fortunate with our sleeper bus, typically just jumping on there, and guys, they bring their pillows and whatnot. They can pack as much stuff as they want. We don't have to go through security and all those types of things, and just get there. But it was a little different, and there were some guys a little bit upset. But hey, we preach to these guys all the time. It never goes as planned, right? And that's something that we have learned to expect and almost thrive in those difficult situations. And we've got a lot of experience and veterans on this team that they're used to things not going ideal. I mean, it's crazy to hear like a guy like Sloan who's in his 6th year, something like that would really have driven him crazy. Like 3-4 years ago, you'd be like, well, I'm not going to sleep properly. I'm going to have this. I'm not. And now he's like, hey, bring it on. Like adversity. Awesome. Like I'm ready for it. And so that's kind of good to see as you see those kids go through the program. You see them grow and evolve and become good young men. And that's why it was really fun for me last week to listen to your guys' podcast with the seniors, right? Because, just to have seen them and the way they've changed over the years. And I told them all that they did a great job, and you guys did an awesome job of kind of seeing another side of them. So that was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks. We talked about that a little bit beforehand, and yeah, definitely they have grown without question. And thanks for all your guys' help on that. We always appreciate that one, though. I think Jordan, he's probably on this side on your guys' screen. Yeah. He set that all up. So Jordan, thanks, bud. We sure appreciate you and all the things you do for us here too. So
thank you guys.
Yeah, you're appreciate you.
Is it okay if I call you Cody? I mean, I call you Coach Caldwell or Coach.
Oh, call me Cody.
Everybody calls you Cody. You're one of the few coaches everybody seems to call by their first name, and
yeah,
you know why that is, or just that's just who you are.
I don't know. I don't know if it's I've been here the longest of any of the coaches. I don't know if it's a familiarity thing or what, but yeah, call me whatever you want, Chad. We're all good. So
just don't call you late for dinner, huh?
Yeah, just don't call me late. That shouldn't be me. So.
Well, you guys traveled down there, made it there, get warmed up, ready for a big postseason tournament.
Yep.
Talk through that a little bit.
Yeah.
What maybe special preparations are taken this last 2 weeks? You had the bye week in there too, right? And the whole season comes down to these next 3 weeks. I mean, it's exciting, it's nervous, it's all the above. This is, for us fans, this is what we live for when it comes to NCAA wrestling. I can only imagine for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, this is the pinnacle, and it's gone fast, and we try not to stray away from some of the usual things that we do from an everyday standpoint, the way that we look at the postseason, right? It's another opportunity to compete. People say, March, it's about March, and it is important, but hey, there were a number of events this year, all of them, which were important as well. And it's, I think we did a really good job of preparing these guys. And, as far as training and things like that, it changes, right? Because we've built up for so many weeks and months throughout the season to, our guys are in shape, right? Our guys are, from a strength and explosive and a technique perspective, they're sound. Like now, these past 2 weeks has been more about continuing to instill confidence and making sure that they're in a place mentally that they're excited to go wrestle. And, if there were any bumps and bruises and things like that, we were able to tend to those things so that, hey, our guys are feeling as good as they possibly can come this weekend, right? I mean, you talk about the national tournament. Well, you have to wrestle the Big 12 championships in order to get to the national tournament. So this is the date that is most important up to this point. And it's been fun. I mean, it's been a great season. I think you can look at the season and probably the best regular season that the Jackrabbits have had in the Division I era. I mean, you look at some of the things that Coach Hahn has done from a coaching perspective under his leadership. We finished as the 11th ranked team in the country. We in and out. We even got as high as a top 10 program. We beat multiple very sound opponents, and it was a good season, right? That season isn't as rewarding if you don't have the march that you anticipate. And so this is all kind of a building block to that point. And I know our guys are excited. And we talk about March, but it's also, hey, let's not put March up on this pedestal, right? This is something that you guys have been doing all year. We've competed in a number of events. We've competed in 2-day events, and it's all a culmination for this. You should be prepared, right? Trust your training. Trust your coaching staff, your support system, and we should be excited and very much ready. And I believe our guys are. And I was telling a couple people just these past couple weeks have been it's been fun to see guys kind of start to get dialed in, and not that they weren't beforehand, but there's like almost like a calmness, a confidence amongst them that, hey, they're ready to go. And we just need to get them to Saturday and let them loose, and keep it simple for them. And as far as you guys saw the brackets and all those things, like, hey, there are very few things that we can control, and it's about we'll do the game planning and things like that, and letting different guys, and we know our guys, right? We have really sound relationships with our guys, and we'll have them in the right place come Saturday. So it's going to be a fun weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You touch on this being one of the best teams ever. at SDSU. I'd say the other team that is in question would have been your first year here.
Sure.
What do you think the differences are about the two teams from that first year that was good and this year that's good?
That's a great question. And I would say the difference between those two teams was, so when I came in that first year, that team was extremely senior heavy, right? I think they graduated a number of guys, and we have seniors as well, but those guys were guys that had grinded it out and put them and worked their tails off to put themselves in a position where it all came to light at the end in that senior season, and they finished 12th then with 3 All-Americans, which was awesome. I look at that team and I look at our team, and we have some senior leadership as well, but we also have some young guys that are kind of have made a name for themselves, right? And I would say, as far as the differences, I would say that this team has some younger guys that they don't feel as though they need to wait to win, right? And not that those guys waited, but they had to grind it out. You look at Kosher, you look at Nate Roeder, Silverberg. Those guys, man, they put in the years, and for their careers to end the way they did is awesome, right? Like it's awesome. Whereas we have some guys that have had success, right? We have 2 All-Americans that have already. We have 2 All-Americans in our lineup, right? That are seniors, but they've been on the podium. They've done those things. They've been there for a while. And then you have some young guys that are knocking right at the door. You look at a Cale Swenson, who was around to 12 last year. You look at Bennett Berge, who's a freshman, right? And he's a top 10 guy right now. And I could go on and on, but as far as that goes, they're 2 very sound teams, and very much just as that team changed the whole landscape of Jackrabbit Wrestling, I feel like this team is making their mark as well.
So when we think about that, would you say, and I think maybe it boils down to the different personalities and how they've grown, like we were talking about earlier, but would you say there's more pressure on this team this year because of that, the high expectations with the rankings that we've got, or would you say the guys have taken it all in stride? I mean, I guess maybe to somewhat answer my own question, talking to them, it seems like they don't ever pay any attention to it, but you got to think at some level they do.
Yeah. I mean, we try to keep it in perspective, right? It's wrestling. It's a game that we enjoy and that we put a lot of time into and effort. And to have a team like we do, you deserve to go out and leave it all on the line and reap the benefits and the success that comes with it. And so we don't try to make it out to be a big thing, because in the grand scheme of things, it isn't. It's cool to be part of a really sound team. But with that said, that doesn't change the way that we go about things on a daily basis. And this team it has been talked about. I mean, we talk about it as a staff more so. I mean, we don't really try to change anything with the guys on the team, but we talk about, hey, like, this could be the best team that South Dakota State has ever seen. And you talk about from a wrestling perspective, but I'm biased, but even from a sports standpoint, right? Like, hey, we're winning national titles in football. We're doing the things in basketball. We are highly successful. And you throw this team in there. Hey, you go and you put multiple guys at the national tournament, get guys on the podium. You break into that top 10. That is something that hasn't been done, right? Go be the first, right? Go be the trendsetter. The guys that make their mark and leave your legacy. And I know guys like those 3 that you talked to last week, a Clay Carlson, a Sloan, a Cook, that's what these guys want to do. They want to leave their legacy and their mark. And I can't think of a better way than to break into that top 10 and put multiple guys on that podium. And I know our guys believe it, and up and down the lineup. And so that's why this time of year is so exciting. I get goosebumps thinking about it, just because, hey, it's here, and it's go time, and our guys are ready.
Well, just to point out one thing is our first D1 national championship was in wrestling, right? So we all just need to recognize that.
Yeah.
And football's not really a great comparison.
It's tough to compare. Yeah.
Basketball's better because they're going up against the same top talent that wrestling is. So, I mean, when we have national qualifiers, a guy that gets second, guy that gets a championship, that's quite the deal. And I hope that, the casual people that we get that maybe view this podcast can really appreciate that. And maybe it brings some more people to Frost, because that place is looking pretty cool these days. And, we got the excellent, the Frank that you were talking about. And I feel like that's making a difference. And, the momentum's going in the right direction, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And, these other sports, we feed off of each other, right? South Dakota State athletics is extremely successful, and they're doing big things on the national stage. And, everyone wants to follow suit, and we're one and the same. And we want to do it on the biggest stage, and represent our university, our community, and the utmost and the best way that we possibly can. And so, I mean, we want to be great, and I feel like, we are doing things to put ourselves in that position.
Alex, you're muted. Yep. Sorry.
Cool.
All good.
Answer Matthew Curl's question. We have scheduled Iowa in the past. We did it in Frost, which don't get me wrong, Michigan duel, Sioux Falls is an awesome environment, but that Iowa duel in the Frost was absolutely nuts if you were there. And I think they're either on a future schedule or working towards it.
Well, that was the year before I got here, and I heard that it was absolutely.
They were literally. I remember Clark and Jake Winicky, so wide receiver and running back for the football team. They were like hanging from the rafters, like that's how packed it was in there for that duel.
That's awesome. Well, we need to make that happen again. We don't have them on the schedule right now, but hey, I'd love to get them back on the schedule and do some type of home and home. And they have a great program over there. And me being from the state of Iowa, I would love nothing more than to get them in Frost in front of our fans and put on a show.
I got shift gears here back to the prep stuff a little bit here. I was actually coincidentally over lunch today. I listened to so many different weird things, but I was listening to a podcast Ben Askren was on, as a wrestling podcast, and they're talking about he's working with his club kids. It's obviously a little bit different level. He's talking about what do you want to do? How do you get your kids better? And he talked about how there's all those different philosophies, and he said, if I go out and put you through a hellacious workout, David Goggins style, you're going to be mentally strong, and that's going to make you a little bit better at wrestling. If I get you on the nutrition, weights, whatever, get you bigger, stronger, that's going to make you a little bit better at wrestling. He said, but what I really like to focus on with my kids is the technical side. If we're getting the kids' legs, but we're not finishing shots, was a specific example he gave. We just work a ton in practice this week on how to finish that shot. You're going to get way better at wrestling than you are getting in better shape or getting mentally tougher, although those are very important components of wrestling, as we know. So where I'm going with this, it's conference championship weekend. There's a certain conference where, even though it's the premier conference, half the guys don't seem to wrestle in that conference tournament. And throughout the year sometimes. We'll leave it at that. Cool. We've talked to Coach Hahn about it, so I already know the answer, but I'd like to hear your perspective on it, Cody. Do you feel value in competition insofar as one of the best ways to get better at wrestling is just to go frickin' wrestle?
Yeah, and I 100%, right? Like, there are a lot of different philosophies and ways to go about things, but I think one thing that we preach to our guys is you have to compete. You have to go out and be a competitor. And I mean, you can't be an All-American without competition, right? You can do all of these things in the room, outside of the room, preparation, and all of that is extremely important, but you also need to compete. And, our guys are competitors, and, you talk about the schedule leading up to the conference championships, and we try to simulate some of these events throughout the year, like multiple day events, right? We go out to Cliff Keen, we wrestle a 2-day tournament, right? And so we feel like that's something that helps us for the Big 12 championships, which is a 2-day event. We wrestle some back-to-back duels as well. Friday, Saturday, we were at Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, which is not easy travel, and trying to prepare ourselves just as we do in practice and outside of the room with our rest and recovery. We try to simulate those things from a wrestling standpoint as well. And, we're going to be a team that goes and competes. Like that's us. We've got a lot of tough, hard-nosed kids that like to wrestle. And, sometimes practice and doing those things isn't always the most fun thing, but we want to have guys, you do those things so that you can go compete. And so, we're big believers in competition and doing those things. You talk about the different philosophies and standpoints to get ready. And, it's a little bit different, like from a collegiate wrestling perspective, right? Because you kind of get to pick the kid, not pick, but you get to choose the kids in which you recruit. And a lot of those things, like, as we get better and better, like, we get to be a little bit more selective. And, we want kids that, one, love wrestling, right? That love to compete, that love to be in the room, love to go compete in matches and things like that. And two, we hope that, they come from a background where, they are positionally sound. Their technique is solid, right? That doesn't mean that they're tapped out as far as those things, but they should have a knowledge of the sport and things like that. And then even more so, a kind of toughness or grittiness about them that they can work through adversity and do those types of things, because it's not changing. It's not changing. Our sport is hard, right? In that regard. And so we want tough kids that love wrestling. And, as far as skill development and positioning, I agree with Ben. Like, hey, we spend a lot of time in developing kids and things like that. But we also believe that going out in competition and executing those holds and wrestling in those positions is a way that we can learn and further develop. So, yeah, it's interesting to hear the different viewpoints. And, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent, but I think about it a lot now too, because I have a son who's 18 months, and not that he's like strapping up his shoes or anything, but it's like, what way do you want to parent and get your kid involved? And so, I lean on my dad a lot, because he was a successful high school coach, and what are the best practices? And, I listen to Ben's stuff as well. I think he has a really great outlook, and, there is no secret system, or everybody would be doing it, but you have to find out what works best for you and your program. And I think that's something, that we're doing at South Dakota State, is kind of, developing our identity and what we are, right? Because we aren't Penn State, right? Where we can compete 6 or 7 times a year, and we have just all world guys that can go out and wrestle the Big Tens and national tournament, and they're ready to go. We need to compete, right? And it changes for different guys within our program, but we're competitors.
So with that, we'll get started here on the conference tournament and the brackets. Chad will pull up the 125 here for us. So Tanner got seeded 4th. He's got that first round match here against the kid from North Dakota State.
Yeah.
That match, I mean, he's got to show up to wrestle still, but obviously that's a match that looks pretty favorable for us.
Yeah, and he just wrestled that kid a couple weeks ago, and I believe it was a major decision. So, you talk about guys within our program. I mean, Tanner Jordan is the definition of a competitor. He is a gritty, tough individual who wins a lot of matches for those reasons. And so he's built for a tournament like this. As far as his first round, yeah, I mean, he's got North Dakota State, who he wrestled, and it's about extending that lead and being ready to go. I mean, crazy things happen this time of year, and we want to be on the side of the ones that are creating that chaos in the bracket, right? We don't want to get into a situation where we overlook guys, and so if he does what he's supposed to do, he'll continue to advance through that bracket. So excited for TJ. It's crazy to think like a year ago at this point, and you guys had TJ on here. So TJ's awesome, right?
Yeah,
he's a guy that everybody loves. But a year ago at this tournament, I think he had like a 500 record or something, and we were hoping how maybe he can punch in this year and be a national qualifier. Where I mean, he's 18-7 now. He's beaten a lot of really, really good kids. And he's put himself in a position that, hey, he's not going to just be at the national tournaments. Hey, let's get him on the dang podium because he has the ability to do so. And, it just pays tribute to, our coaching staff, Coach Hahn and Coach Hahn's leadership and a guy that buys in, right, and has truly developed and, made some significant gains. And we're really excited about TJ and this weekend. So
yeah, and you got to be kind of. I mean, he's got a pretty decent bracket, right? I mean, that's not terrible for him, and the seating seems to be about right. I guess maybe that leads to my next question as we go through these, or one to keep in the back of your mind is, I think we got seated pretty fairly this year. I don't think anything was really too egregious one way or another.
Yeah, I'd agree with Chad. I thought it was fair. The Big 12 takes into account a number of different things between head-to-head results, your RPI ranking, your coaches ranking, common opponents. So it's a system that they use and went through those different things. And this is where he ended up and the rest of our guys ended up, and he's got a win over Volk. But I mean, Jory is a super
wrestler.
Yeah, he's great. He's a world champ. He's an age level world champion, right? And so that'll hopefully we do what we're supposed to do and be able to get after it in that quarterfinal. It's just looking at like there are some tough guys in that all of these brackets, right? Our guys have to be ready to go from that first session. And I was talking to somebody, just guys have to be ready to go right away, right? I mean, that first session, they start at 10 a.m. and they wrestle the first 2 rounds of the front side. Like, hey, that determines if that is a major determinant of whether you're going to wrestle at the national tournament or not. And so, like, you can punch your ticket right away. And there is
I was just going to say there's 6 allocations for 125, and a lot of these other weights too. But so if you make the semis, you're going to Kansas City.
Yeah, and so you look at those quarters, and they're brutal up and down. The Big 12 does not get any easier, and our guys need to be ready to go. And we're confident in our guy at 25 that he's going to go and be ready to go from that first whistle.
And if he chalks, he gets rewarded with another stud. But we have to feel good about the fact that he's already wrestled all these guys. There's no one new, right, this year.
Yeah. TJ is a competitor, man. He wants to compete. Like if he could wrestle this whole tournament on Saturday morning, he would. Just he's the guy that loves to compete, and the harder it is, the better it is for him.
And with this weight class at 125, you look at the rankings and the RPI and everything, and you could have had 10 kids allocated for spots at 125. So this is definitely not a gimme walk in the park, but it's going to be a good weight class to watch.
No, it's crazy. You look all. You're exactly right. There are 10 guys in this bracket that could beat each other on any given day. And it's going to come down to who is in the right mind space and ready to go when it's time to put that foot on the line.
You talk about TJ loving to wrestle. I'm just really glad he didn't end up with a bye for that reason, because I think he wrestles. The more he wrestles, the better he wrestles. It seems so.
Yeah. The last time I took a match from him, I heard it for months.
Told us about that.
He did tell us that. Yeah.
He gets hit in the eye, and his eyes all blown up. I'm like, man, like maybe you don't need 5 matches in one day. And unfortunately, the brackets came out, and I switched. I had reshuffled them so the bye would, be somewhere else, and he was not happy with me. I did not hear the end of it, but hey, I'd rather have that than a guy, upset that they have to wrestle. I mean, that's what they're here to do.
A guy ducking out like other, other places.
Yeah. So
that leads us into 133 here. So again, Derek Cardinal, 4 seed, 6 AQs. He's got guy he beat first round right away again, and then Farber, who he has not seen this year, could be a pretty interesting quarterfinals match.
And so actually he did see Farber at the Daktronics.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and so that was a while ago, and he did come out on top of that match. But Farber's good, and actually, so that Utah Valley kid, he wrestled earlier this year as well, as you paid mention to. He was losing that match. He had to come from behind, and ended up controlling it at the end. But that kid's a sound competitor as well, and Derek needs to be ready for a fight each and every match, right? And if he does that, and he's offensive minded and ready to go score points and get on guys' legs, hey, I really truly believe he can beat all these guys. I do. But if we're waiting around and kind of just trying to simply win the match rather than going to score points and do those types of things, then it's going to be a tough go. But his training has been awesome these last all season. He's been pretty good, but there has been some bumps in the road, and it has come because trying to kind of hold on, trying to wrestle close, and he's one that needs to be out there firing, and he does that. He's going to be just fine. So excited about Derek, and he's another guy that, hey, a year ago he was a guy you were like, man, like he's okay, right? He's okay. And this year, he's been a guy that continues to show up for us, and is a guy that we've relied upon throughout the season. So excited for him. I'm excited for all these guys. That's going to be a common theme. I'm pretty freaking jacked. So Cardinal, he'll be ready to rock. I mean, any other things in that? I mean, obviously you have Dayton Fix, who is one of the best in the world, and the Iowa State. This is another sound bracket, right? Like up and down. Jeez.
There's not going to be very many weak ones in the Big 12. That's part of what we signed up for. But
I know it is, and so it's like, and I'm not going to get off on a tangent here, but if Coach Hahn was here, he would. But it's crazy. So this is the Big 12 continues to get better. We allocated less spots this year from exactly what you're talking about. Guys not wrestling, guys, not doing what is best fit for the conference. I get it. There are injuries and hiccups and things like that, but man, like, you go to 25, like Jordan was saying, like for there to only be 6 spots. I mean, I look at that and there should be 7, 8, 9 spots, but that's why we have our guys go compete and do what they can, not the betterment of themselves, but the betterment of the conference and having us well represented at the national tournament.
I think they overcorrected for how few spots they gave the EIWA last year, but we're already getting too far down the rabbit hole at that point.
No kidding. Yeah, geez, Damien's going to come down from the next floor, bust down my door if he hears me talk about this.
He's welcome to join in if he's watching. I mean, I could send him the link if he wants to hop on. I won't say no.
I know. So, 141.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this bracket?
Jordan?
Oh, this one's another one that I don't know if I agree with the 5. Like, there's probably at least should have been 6 there. I think that should have allocated, but they only gave us 5, and we're gonna have to roll with it. But I guess I don't think Clay's wrestled the West Virginia kid this year, has he?
No, last year he did at this tournament.
You know,
It was a match that he won, but it was close. It was contested. It was one that Clay kind of had to, typical Clay form, had to run him down at the end. But yeah, I agree with you, Jordan. Like, I mean, there were, and I don't need to get specific, but there were, I think, 3 guys that were like right on the bubble as far as earning allocations. And so, this one at bare minimum was going to have 5, and at max was going to be 8. So it ended up with 5. Great. We were one that did allocate a spot. What we talked about with Clay when we sent him to get more matches and do those types of things, that worked out, right? And to put him in the best position to get to the national tournament and earn an allocation for the conference. So 5 seed. He'll have a bye. Then the winner of that, Darren Green, who he wrestled earlier, and Jordan Titus. Titus is 21-2, man. He's been really freaking good this year. And Clay's gonna have to show up and be ready to go. And you look up and down that bracket, like there are some hammers in there, and not just guys that are gonna be looking to do well here. They're gonna be looking to get on that podium here in a couple of weeks. So it should be awesome. Clay, hey, March Clay is a Clay that not a lot of people want to wrestle. So I truly believe that he is, I know that he's ready, and I know that he's excited and ready to cap off a phenomenal career and one of the best jackrabbits to ever come through. And he's going to finish it in a big way.
It's really all or nothing for him at this point. I look at this bracket and I think, oh man, he got the tough side,
Yeah,
But you go look at the other side and it's like, well, did he? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough, and Clay's just got to be Clay, right? I mean, at the end of the day, he's got to do what he does and do it well.
Absolutely.
We move on down to the next weight, or up, I guess, rather it would be. And we got 149. But Alec, it's like we all ended up with like half of our lineup ended 4 5s, on the top of the bracket. So he's going against Cal Baptist. He beat that guy, right, earlier this year?
Yeah, he ran at home.
What was the score of that one? I don't recall.
I want to say it was like 2 or 3 points.
It was close. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, that kid is hard to wrestle. He hangs around and tries to finish at the end with on top. And Alec is going to need to stay within himself and continue to get to legs. And as you've seen, he's best when he's being offensive. And
right.
He's got to break through kind of that defensive wrestling and push himself to go score points. And then we'll take care of that match. And it's on, if he makes it to the quarters, he's got a rematch with, and I know for a fact he wasn't real enthused with his match at Oklahoma State this past month. Kind of got caught in the cradle and got decked at home. And he said to me after that match, hey, like, I want that match back. I want that match back. Well, hey, we're gonna have an opportunity to do it, and it'll be fun. And again, you look up and down, and Big 12's stout, and there is no easy path.
So we come to 157 here, where I think maybe it's hard to argue. You maybe have the one guy who is underseeded a little bit, but at the same time, you lose close to the 3 and the 5.
Yeah.
6 is probably where you end up. And I know Kale's chomping at the bit to get those 2 back, and he probably has a chance at 1 right away in the quarters here.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, you think Cale Swenson, he's 6th. And then you look at the other guys, you're like, okay, it kind of makes sense. And, he has a bye that first match. So what they do that I'm sure most people know, they seed the top 8, and then the remaining 5 they draw in, and the remaining 3 buys they draw in as well. So he had a bye that first round. I would assume that Okie State's going to win, and we lost to that kid in overtime at Oklahoma State. And so, yeah, Swenson is chomping at the bit to get that match back. And this bracket is tough as well. And he's had a lot of extremely close matches with the majority of those individuals. And I mean, whether it's a 1-point match or an overtime, I mean, Cale Swenson has 7 losses, but you look at his losses, I mean, it's 1 point overtime. The margin for error is so small. And, he's one that is excited, and he's ready for another opportunity to go scrap. And he's a competitor, man. He's a competitor as well. So we're excited for Cale.
Then we at 157 also with Cale. I mean, it's like as a kid growing up and you get in the program, you got to mature a little bit and quit making, I call them freshman mistakes. And there's a couple mistakes earlier this year that it's time to run and show.
Yeah.
That he's matured and grown this year.
That's true. And it is so true. And, there's no better time than now to do just that.
Then we get to 165 here, and Tanner, even below 500, and as bad as he says the season's been, still comes away with the 7th seed. And he probably has a match that I don't know if I'm excited for this match or not excited, because I know these two spent a lot of time in the room wrestling together. But he's got Jack, and people that don't know, Jack transferred to UNI, so that'll be his first match this year or in the tournament.
Yeah, kind of ironic, right? That is the first round match. And to be honest, like we love our guy, right? We love Tanner Cook, and he plays it out that I'm not even 500, blah blah blah. Tanner Cook can wrestle. Tanner Cook is a great competitor. Tanner Cook is a guy that people don't want to wrestle Tanner Cook, right? And I sure as heck wouldn't want to wrestle him in March, right? And he is giving us everything that he has. And I know that this last month of his wrestling career, you're not going to see him back down, and he's going to throw the freaking kitchen sink at guys. And I'm saying he's going to make his way to the national tournament. I'm saying it, right? We believe in that dude, and we're excited for him to wrestle, to compete at this tournament. And Tanner's awesome. We love the dude, So he has that first match against Jack, which it's a common opponent. I mean, it's always weird kind of wrestling in a match, but hey, you can't control that. And so he needs to go out and compete the way that he knows how. And, I truly believe that he's gonna mess up this bracket. So it's going to be fun, because this one is a crazy one. It is a crazy one. You got not many conference championships have 2 national champs in them, as well as a number of other All-Americans. So, it's tough, but I wouldn't be the one that wants to draw Tanner Cook.
Well, Tanner, he's definitely got to wrestle his style, right? But let's just not forget to remind him that he's got a really nice shot that he could use, that he seems to not use all that often. Maybe the Big 12s is when to hit that. I don't know.
This is the time to pull it out. No, it's crazy. Like I'll be watching in the room, and I'll see him like hit a blast double or like a beautiful attempt, and I'm like, man, I yell at him, man, that was awesome. That was so good. He's like, yeah, whatever. Like, he likes to downplay it, but he knows how to wrestle, and he has some tricks. He has some tricks, but he also has some solid leg attacks, and hey, this might be the weekend you see some of that.
Well, if they're just waiting for you to throw the old mixer or gator bacon, whatever you want to call it, and they might just be open for some shots.
For sure,
see it coming.
Yeah.
So move on to 174. This is one of our number 1 seeds. Cade obviously has earned this. I don't know what to say. All good things to say about Cade, right? But at the same time, I still feel like Cade's got more. Like, the guy's so good, and he's so smart that he uses just what he has to win sometimes. And I'd really like to see him just go out there and tear it up, like we know he can.
Absolutely.
I don't know what else to say. I think he's got a pretty good chance at winning this. And I mean, what are your thoughts, I guess?
Cade is so good. He is so good. He is so technically sound and smooth, and you're right. Sometimes you'll see him wrestle a more tactical match when, hey, he has the ability to blow it open. He really does. Like, he is so good. I watch him and Sloan wrestle. They wrestled more this week than more this season than they've ever wrestled in the past. And the dude is good. And if he would just open up like some of the things that you see in the room, he would. I'm calling me crazy, but he'd bonus everybody in this bracket. Like, he is that good. And he's one that, hey, he's been consistent this year. 18-1, his only loss to Michigan, but he has earned that number 1 seed. And but now is not a time to protect it. Now is a time to go let loose and go score a bunch of points and make your way to the national tournament, man. Like, he is wrestling better than he's ever wrestled this year. He's been fun, and you're finally seeing what we've seen for many years in the room. Like, he's really a special talent.
And not even only the Big 12, but the whole 174 weight class as a group. I think he's the most battle-tested one there is, and he's only had one hiccup all year long.
You're exactly right, Jordan. I mean, you look at his schedule, like, there's a reason why in the RPI he's the number 1 ranked guy in the weight class, is because of his strength of schedule. He's wrestled a lot of really solid competitors, and he's been steady. And he lost 1 overtime match. And other than that, he's been just on a tear, and I don't see it stopping now.
Then we get to 184 with Bennett here, and he is seeded with the 3rd seed, and he's got Cal Baptist right off the bat, which I think will be a good match for him there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bennett is really good at wrestling, obviously, but he is
lunch pail guy.
He's been one that has just been a treat to have in the lineup. As far as, hey, we rely on him heavily. I mean, you look at the guys that have been most consistent in our lineup, 74, 84, 97, and Bennett being a freshman to do that too at a heavier weight class. A lot of times you see those young kids come in at 25, 33, 41, but for him to come in at that weight class and be a guy that has just been steady. I mean, he is him and Cade DeVos are both extremely technically advanced. They give guys fits just because they're better at wrestling than most guys. And so he's been a treat to have in the lineup. He's a guy that, he's been battle tested as well. He's been battle tested, and he's ready for this moment. His first Big 12 tournament, but man, we brought him along last year to kind of get a lay of the land and better understand what to expect. And I know he is really excited for the opportunity. He's awesome. He's one that has his sights on, not just this tournament, but here in a couple weeks. And I'm glad I've got Bennett on our team.
I know that. Go ahead, Chad.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, I know that I don't really want to get the horse in front of the buggy here, but God, I could love to see a Bennett Plot rematch in the semifinals.
That's where I was going.
Yeah. I think we're all on the same page here, and obviously you've got great competitors, and he's beating those guys. Would love to see that, and if Bennett does what he is capable of doing, that's what's going to happen. And hey, for those of you that saw that first match, it was very controversial. It was a wrong call. It was a wrong call. Bennett, he put himself in a position that, hey, we felt that he won that match, and the refs and things thought otherwise. But he's a guy that doesn't get hung up on those things. I mean, he's pretty even keeled, and I know he's excited for that match, but he's excited for the next match that is in front of him. He's really mature and steady, especially for a young kid, and he's one that is extremely confident going into this tournament. And yeah, so Missouri changing up their starter. They did have Clayton Whiting, who was their guy for the majority of the season, and Colton Hawks beat Feldkamp from Iowa State here a couple weeks, and so he slid in there, and we had beat Colton Hawks in the duel. And so yes, this is the match we wanted, but I know Bennett's not looking far ahead. He'll take care of business and go score points and continue to do his craft.
This is
sorry, go ahead, Jordan.
This is another weight class that I was shocked on the automatic qualifiers. There should have been one, maybe two. I get with the whole Missouri change that might not have got one qualified, but I thought there should have been at least or two more qualified for this weight class.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why it's frustrating when you have a team like ours that we know everyone knows the criteria to qualify spots, and it's the coach's rank, it's your RPI rank, which is RPI. You need 15 matches to have an RPI, and it's basically like a formula, right? So you don't really have much control of it other than getting the 15 matches and then winning percentage. And you see us consistently seeking out those opportunities to better put us in a position to allocate spots for the conference, and it can be frustrating when other teams don't do the same. And so either way, we got to wrestle, and that's why they have these events. And I truly believe that we'll be in a position to get a ton of guys to the national tournament.
I love how you guys continually say allocate spots for the conference when and that's true. That's a true statement, but it really means allocating spots for our guys or opportunities for our guys. I mean, it's the same thing, but really you're allocating your own spot when you go out and do that. And we should all be trying to do that. So that's one of the things that irritates us a bit with dodging on different duels and not showing up for tournaments and so forth. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, we allocated 8 spots, and you look at last year. I mean, we did the same thing. We allocated 8 spots, and 2 other teams came and took 2 of those spots, and we had to get wild cards, right? And so we ended up getting 8 through. But because we had done the body of work, we put our guys in a position to get to the national tournament. But yeah, at the end of the day, you gotta wrestle at the conference championships. But I agree with you. It's not good for the sport to sit out, especially when people are anticipating these big matches. You want to grow the sport, you got to wrestle, right? Yeah, I get it.
Sorry, we keep beating that drum this year because
I'm with you, man. Like I love this sport, and I want it to continue to grow and thrive at the biggest level. But you can't have these. You got to make it matter more. Make the duels matter more. And I don't have the exact answer. I really don't. But I know that in order to continue to grow our sport, we need to make some adjustments. And part of that is guys wrestling, guys competing, and being exciting to fans and being a product that people want to watch. So.
Well, we were lucky enough to have Bennett on the podcast earlier, and he was a great interview too. But I just wanted to mention, I called him a lunch pail guy. And to me, maybe that comes from Coach Stig over at football, but that guy just shows up and goes to work, you know, he just brings his lunch pail, goes to work, doesn't say anything, gets the work done. He's kind of a machine, right? I mean, and it's not that he's robotic. I mean, he's got a great personality, but yeah, he just really just goes and kicks tails continually.
Yeah, and he's a guy that he shows up every day and he works and he lives the right lifestyle, and as you know, taking a leadership role in in some capacity as a young guy, just by the way he goes about his business. And you know, it may not be the way that everybody else goes about their business, but hey, not everybody is having the success that he's having either. So
Well, that brings us to 197, and I guess I get all the easy ones with the number 1 seeds that
yeah,
I can just say, yeah, I expect this guy to win. But it's never easy. And, you know, I mean, we got Rocky Elam in there, and that there's some history there from last year's national tournament, and we got to wrestle Stephen Buchanan to win it too, likely. So, well, one of the two, I guess they could take each other out. I like Tanner's chances here. You know, last year was what it was at the Big 12s, and maybe that's a motivator for him.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's the number 1 seed. Tanner Sloan is another guy that has been just steady, man. And you know, I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with Tanner and to see him grow and progress. It's the best Tanner Sloan right now that you've ever seen. And I know that his career is coming to a close, and he would love nothing more than to finish it outright, competing the way that he's capable. And if he does that, he's a Big 12 champ. And you know, he has that first match. He's wrestled so many of these guys in this bracket, which is crazy, right? And so you know, every match he needs to be ready. He's going to be ready for a fight. But I like our guy, and I know he's excited. You know, you got Elam and Buchanan on the other side, who are 2 guys that are previous All-Americans, so the weight is strong. And you know, whoever comes out on that side, we'll take care of our business each and every match and go score a bunch of points, and you know, finish this last time in the box center outright, because he's been second here twice now. So he was second against Elam last year, and then he was second, lost to the Buchanan. And he might have been 3 times. So he lost to
3.
Yeah, because he lost to Buchanan, and then he lost to the West Virginia kid.
Right.
And so, and then the other year he injury defaulted. He had a shoulder issue, and had to get a wild card. So, hey, 6 times a charm, right? No, 5th time. It's 5th time, but his 6th year. And you know, Tanner is he's the man. Like we've been through a lot together. He's been through a lot throughout his wrestling career, and you know, as I say, he's really become a mature young man who is he's excited to finish out his career the way that he's capable. And he does that, he'll leave here no regrets. And again, one of the best that South Dakota State has ever seen.
Now, I saw your guys' cool little promo that you brought up. You tweeted out today, right? That was pretty cool. And I think I spied you wrestling Tanner in that, right?
Yeah, I've wrestled. I've wrestled.
I got a follow up on that. So that was you wrestling Tanner. I saw that right.
Yeah.
So let's just say 100 times you wrestle Tanner.
Yeah.
Like actually wrestle him. How many of those do you suppose you win?
Oh my goodness, they're very few and far between at this point. I'll be completely honest. So when he first got to school, you know, it was a lot of beatdowns on my side giving to him. Now it's definitely the other way around, and so he definitely gets the best of me. He's one of the best guys in the country at his weight class, and we've wrestled each other a lot, man. Looking back on his career and stuff, I mean, me and him, we've been to 2 different countries together. We've gone to so many different national tournaments and things like that. And so it's been a hell of a ride. And you know, I'm excited for him to finish this thing out. And so he's an awesome dude. He's one that, you know, you spend a lot of time with kids, and whatnot. He's one that I've been able to see, from the recruiting process all the way up through his 6 years. So it's been a hell of a ride, and excited for his last month of the season.
Cody, what's it really going to feel like? Is it going to hit you until I'm going to say the awards stand at the NCAA tournament? Is it really going to hit you that he's not going to walk in the room next week and wrestle you again?
Yeah.
Your guys' life is very well documented on how you guys have did everything together these last 6 years.
Yeah. And heck, we even look back to that article that you did, Jordan. I know that was one of the first ones about the Junior World Championships and things like that. And so, I don't know exactly when it'll be, if it'll be the award podium, if it'll be, that last match, the banquet, I don't know. But it will be, it'll be emotional, and we're just trying to enjoy the ride up until then. One positive is, hey, I won't have to take so many beatings. It will be a lot less hard on my body there for a while until the next guy gets to be as good as Sloan. But those are big shoes to fill, and he's done a great job.
Apologize for my short disappearance there. I had a little girl who was insistent. Her dad had to put her to bed. Her mom could not do it, despite her mom probably having done it 100 times.
That's say that because my son very much is in a mom phase, and so he wants nothing to do with me. And so I appreciate hearing that. So I'm hoping that maybe it comes back, because
my daughter's a little bit older than your son is, okay. Cody, and it swings back and
forth. Okay, good. Get worried. When I left yesterday for Tulsa, when he's I'm saying, hey buddy, I love you, be good for mama, and he tells me, go away, and I'm like, oh, dude, come on, man, like,
you get that. You get that daycare drop off is some days it's okay, bye, what are you still doing here? I'm playing with my friends. And there's the other day, all of a sudden she's like this, another girl started watching, she's my
daddy. Yeah. But I have to, my wife, she may be listening, she may not be, but I got to give her a shout out, because she holds down the homestead back at home, and I appreciate her very much. So, but all right, let's get into this heavyweight bracket.
So Luke, he's got a little bit of a tough draw, but it's never easy being a freshman heavyweight unless your name is Gable Steveson. So let's run through Luke's bracket a little bit here too.
Yeah, I mean, heavyweight in the Big 12 is tough, man. There is no way around it, right? And Luke has been a guy. I mean, he's been a guy that has showed up week in and week out. He's been in and out of the rankings. I think he finished like a top 30 or so in the final coaches ranking. So he's a guy that is competing with these guys, right? He is wrestling against full grown men, right? He is still growing. He's still growing into his body. He has continued to get better. It's a situation. It's not easy, and to be frank, he's going to have to beat one or two guys that he's not supposed to beat to get to the national tournament, and that's no secret. As you've seen in some of his matches, he has some things that not a lot of heavyweights can do. He's long, he's good on top, he can wrestle in different situations and scramble well. He needs to force those positions and give himself the best opportunity to get his hand raised. And if he does that, hey, he's our guy. We back him 100%. And he starts out with the Wyoming kid who is a sound competitor. I don't know if he's wrestled a number of the Wyoming guys. I'm not sure if they've wrestled or not, but he's a good competitor, and he's got to be ready to go from that first whistle. And we talk about a lot with Luke as just being a focused effort for 7 minutes, right? Sometimes we get out of our kind of routine or way of going about things, and kind of we'll hit a shot that maybe wasn't necessary, right? And when you do that against a guy who's 260, 70 pounds, it's tough to recover from. And so we need to wrestle to our strengths stay in the fight, but also not force things that aren't there. Let it become a battle on the mat, and utilize making everything hard on our opponent, from a defensive standpoint, a scoring standpoint. And, he does that. It wouldn't surprise me. He takes out these dudes and finds his way at the national tournament. And, either way, it's going to be tough, just like all these guys. It's tough at the Big 12 championships. And, he's got to be ready for a fight.
Yeah, I can commiserate with Luke a little bit because obviously a much lesser level, but my junior year of high school, I lost the 195 and 220 wrestle off. So I was not quite the same, but I was a 206-pound heavyweight.
Ooh,
and I pat myself on the back. I upset the number 3 ranked kid in the state in the heartbreak round to go to state. So
woohoo!
Use awesome. my inspiration story of 12 years ago to propel yourself there, Luke.
Hey, you know what? I might use that before his first match at the Big 12 tournament. Get him going.
Hey, if he gets this first win, that next one, that's a doozy.
Oh yeah.
That's a tall task right there.
He wrestled Hendrickson at the duel, right?
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
And honestly, I was pleased. He got pinned.
He did well.
Hendrickson pins a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
I was pleased with his effort, and that's all we're looking for, right? There have been matches that he has lost that we've been pleased with his effort, but there has also been matches that he's won that we haven't been pleased with his effort. And I mean, one to speak of is that Cal Baptist, right? That was exciting for the fans, right? Hitting a flail and doing those types of things. Well, it didn't need to get to that point, right? I was kind of over there, and I saw a video that it looked bad that we were just kind of sitting there like, okay, yeah, this happened, and everybody's hooting and hollering, which is awesome that he has that threat, but also like he's good enough where it doesn't have to get to that. Like he can wrestle, he can defend leg attacks, he can shoot shots and get his head up. Like he deserves to be here. He has earned the right to be here, and he needs to wrestle like it and compete like it, and he does that. He's gonna have a great tournament. So,
well, I'm sure this can go all night, but we're just gonna take a few more here, and I have one that I've been waiting to kind of hit here after we got the brackets out of the way. Mine's a little different here for you, Cody. Maybe it's somewhat of an observation, maybe less than a question, but your father Rick, he's a Hall of Fame coach, right? And down in Iowa Hall of Fame, I believe.
Yeah, he sure is. Yeah.
And he's at every one of your events. And, this day and age, to have a father spend that time and be there as cheer on his grown son, that's something special. And that's sure got to be meaningful to you. I'm inspired by it every time I see him. He's a great guy. I've gotten to talk to him quite a bit, and I know he watches this podcast. So
yeah.
Maybe speak on that and just how special and meaningful that is, because that's really something these days,
Yeah, it is. It's geez, I'm getting a little bit emotional.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're all good, but I love that man. He's taught me everything I know. I appreciate him, and for him to be able to come back and support me. So he's recently retired, so he's doing a lot of fishing and watching wrestling. That's what he loves, and I'm incredibly grateful to have him and support me and be a guy that I talk to and aspire to be like. Right, he has laid the groundwork, and honestly, everything that I am is because of him and my mom as well. And so they're great people. They're great parents, and it is awesome. I love having him at the events, and he's family, right? You do anything for family, and I know he'll be at the Big 12 championships cheering, and he'll be at nationals, and he's a guy that has really made a significant impact on my life. And I know, speaking of him and his time in Brookings, right? He thinks of Brookings as home, right? Like, he'll see some of you guys there, and he'll come up and start a conversation. Whenever you see him, feel free to grab him and talk. I mean, he's one that loves being involved and chatting and whether it be wrestling or fishing or outdoors or whatnot. And he's really, that just speaks to our community as well. Very welcoming and a place that, he feels comfortable. And, so that's tribute to our people and the great town of Brookings. So
sounds like somebody else we need to get on our podcast.
Get him on. He might need more than an hour, 10 minutes though.
That's fine. He's probably got great stories.
Yeah, just don't get him and Damien on at the same time. So
there is not enough time.
You guys would have to buy like a new podcast subscription, like unlimited minutes or something. So
Alex, Jordan, you got anything?
Couple things here quick. Back for luncheons next Wednesday?
Yes, next Wednesday we will have our last and final luncheon. No, I think actually we'll have one to recap the NCAAs, but next week Wednesday we will have our luncheon and we'll kind of recap the Big 12s, and then we will kind of look ahead to the national tournament. So the selection show for the national tournament will be that Wednesday night. So yeah, it's an exciting time. Like we're here. It's go time. So it's gonna be fun.
And then I know my phone didn't ring a couple weeks ago on Saturday night, so I was disappointed. So let's hear it. Who won the 10 grand and how did the JWC raffle?
Oh yeah, Jordan, I wish you would have won, man. I do. But so who won? It was actually 3 people ended up being like the final contestants, and so they split. They gave half of it back, and then they split it 3 ways. So it was a win-win for everybody, and yeah, our fans, our supporters are awesome. So we appreciate them. We couldn't have done it without them, and it's a huge fundraiser for us, and to be able to do the things we want to do as a program.
Like go overseas with Tanner Sloan.
Yeah, like go overseas with Tanner, and we've had it. Bennett went overseas. Kate DeVos went to Pan Am. So, and then just being able to get coaches in there. You talk about Brady, who has been an awesome contributor and asset to our program, as well as Luke Zilverberg, having him around. So those guys are great. We want to keep them around and make them feel appreciated.
And then one last thing here. I got a couple shout outs. The first one, I know that us SDSU fans knew him when he wrestled. Then he had some issues and took some time off, got his life back together. I want to give congratulations to Eric Williams on AA and the NIA. And I want to also give a shout out to Marty Mueller for getting his first All-American as a head coach at DWU. So that was 2 things on past SDSU Jackrabbits as times went on.
Yeah, absolutely. I second that. Awesome kudos to Marty. He's doing an awesome job at DWU. And he was a guy that had a major impact on this program. And for him to have Eric Williams who was a former Jackrabbit get on the podium, huge congratulations to those guys. That's really awesome.
I don't have anything to add to that. Just thanks for bringing that up, Jordan. That's good to point that stuff out. And good luck this weekend, Coach. We're looking forward to it, but I'm sure not as much as you guys are.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We just from me, I appreciate you guys continuing to push South Dakota State wrestling and Jackrabbit athletics in general. But you guys have been huge advocates for us, and I know I listen to all your guys' podcasts, and you guys do an awesome job. And we know that we greatly appreciate it.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. We appreciate your help lining people up and being so willing to come on here at maybe less than a week's notice, because we don't always know what we're doing. We're professionals and have lives too, so we're trying to make it work, and we surely appreciate you making time for us and helping us, grow this thing a little bit. So the more the merrier. And I'd like to shout out quick Cubbies. They've been a great sponsor of Jackrabbit Wrestling and a great sponsor of Jackrabbit Illustrated. You can always rely on them to have great food, great drinks, great atmosphere, and be great supporters of Jackrabbits in general. And also Kubota, who's our title sponsor. the guys, they're always first in line to sign up and help out. And so those guys make a difference in for us and for Jackrabbit Athletics. And I don't want to keep you too long, but I did see that we had a couple of state champions. And I don't know if you want to touch on that quickly or.
Yeah. So we've got 5 state champs coming in from that class. And so the most recent, Logan Swenson, brother of Cale Swenson, he's an absolute hammer, and we're excited to get him up because similar to Cale, he's mean, he's tough, and he's a competitor who loves to scrap, and so he's going to be a fan favorite for you guys. I'm excited for him to get in the room and continue to progress. And then Quinn Morgan out of Mounds View, he won his first state title, and so interesting story with him. So his dad was actually Damien's coach at Minnesota, his assistant coach, and so for things to come full circle, he's coming to join us at South Dakota State. And he's a guy that man, he's got some Tanner Cook-esque in him. He'll throw the kitchen sink at you. He'll be a guy that people love to watch as well. And then our couple guys out of Iowa, we had Cale Seaton. He won a title, and then Tyson Peach out of Wisconsin, and then we had a guy out of Alaska, Kenton Cook. So those guys all won state titles. And then Grant Kress was a place winner at Iowa as well. So a good group that we have coming in. We continue to reload. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We always end here with a get jacked. So if y'all are ready, Jordan, unmute. All right. On 3, 3, 2, 1, get jacked.
Woo!
I like it.